Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame fam, Fantasy Endgame baseball players. It feels like we were just here, but that was for the NFL draft. This is for fantasy baseball. Wrapping up the week that was and getting you ready for the week that will be. Of course, about to drop Pierre's favorite two-star streamers of the week. One of my favorite show of the entire week, the two-star streamers. Pierre, week 4 in the books, I think. Is that where we're at right now? How are we feeling?
Feeling like I'm going to scrap the whole number thing now because they keep messing everything up. At Fancy Pros and some other sites, they're saying it's week 6 and it really should be week 5. And so I'm like, okay, for whatever. It doesn't matter. You know what? We have enough weeks left. It really doesn't matter which week it is. just stop counting. But we're officially a month into the season. All right, it's been a month done since opening day for all the other teams. So yeah, we've got enough now. I think we can start saying, this might be something or not be something. We can stop saying, well, it's still early. It's still early. It's not quite as early anymore.
This is true. It's not quite as early anymore, but it's always early enough to talk two-star streamers. Let's jump right into it and start with one of my favorite streamers last year. Has been one of my favorite streamers this year. Reese Olson, who has been fantastic his last 2 starts. His last start especially went over 7 innings, has not given up an earned run over the last 2 games. Does have to pitch against the Astros in Houston. That's not fun, but then he gets the Angels. That's a ton of fun. I know you like Reese Olson even more than just a 2-star streamer, right?
Yeah, I mean, anybody who saw the waiver wire video, you already know. And, it's easy to look at a guy like him and say, oh, we can't get too excited. But if you look at last year, maybe we should get excited because remember, this is exactly what he did. And of course, just because, he did whatever in last May doesn't mean he'll duplicate it this May. But so far he is. So I'll buy into it. I mean, it's a guy who's kind of been all or nothing, right? I mean, when he's hot, and he's hot. I could go deeper, but I kind of already did on the waiver wire video. So look, Reese Olson hasn't given up a run the last 2 outings. He doesn't have a huge strikeout rate, which I think we'll say about pretty much every pitcher today, which is why they're streamers, almost every pitcher. But look, he's hot. The Tigers are hot, man. How about the Tigers? Keep winning. So yeah, I'm not saying he's a must add, right? I don't think you have to pick him up everywhere that you can, but if you're looking for help, I mean, he's got to be the number 1 choice.
Yeah, you're right. When he's hot, he's hot. And right now he's hot. And another guy that I actually still have on my team, I drafted him. I waited on pitcher. I drafted him, Dustin May of the Dodgers. Up until his last start, he's been great. And man, I watched that. You ever watch that Pitching Ninja guy? His 5 filthiest.
Yep.
Dustin May has been on there multiple times. This guy's got filth. Is coming off a rough start, but I mean, you throw out that last start, he's been great. And this week he gets the Marlins. That's fantastic. He does get the Braves, who I feel like are kind of heating up, but I have trouble ever sitting Dustin May.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, you almost want to say, why is Dustin May still out there in close to half the leagues? But obviously, you look at his last start, then you know why. But again, you're looking at 1 start versus the rest. It hasn't had that many, but he was really, really good until he wasn't. Regression happens. He's got that bad start out of his way. I don't expect another bad start, and especially because the Marlins are next. But May has been really sharp, and I think we cannot overreact to his 1 bad start and look at the other good, really good starts. And even after getting blown up, his ERA solid 3.68, 1.18 WHIP. It'll just get better. Again, just know this is Dustin May. He's not going to induce a ton of whiffs. So 21% strikeout rate, that's kind of just what you expect. But the fact that he's on the Dodgers means you got a great chance to get wins.
Yeah, definitely in your wins league for sure. Now, another pitcher I drafted, but I have since dropped. Apparently, so has everybody else because he's only sitting at 38% on Yahoo. That's Ronel Blanco. Gets the Tigers. As you said, they've been pretty hot right now, so that's a little scary. But then the White Sox, that's the opposite of scary. Also, I mean, credit to him. He's got his ERA all the way down to 5.01. But in all seriousness, he is coming off a very nice start against the Blue Jays this week. 6 2/3 innings, only gave up 1 earned run. So I drafted him hoping I would get something close to the guy we saw, first half of last year. I got the exact opposite of that. Is he starting to trend more towards that guy now?
He could. I mean, he definitely could. To some extent, his numbers are also inflated by one bad start. But unlike May, his last start was his best start. He's actually getting better. He went 6 2/3, only gave up 1 run. And, the Tigers have been really good, but it's not like they're lighting up the scoreboard, right? They've just been solid all around. Not a great matchup. I'm not saying it is a great matchup, but also I think he can get by. And then the White Sox is a great matchup. So, here we are. We're streaming, and it's a month in, and a lot of the good pitchers are taken. So, yeah, there are no sure things. This is definitely not a sure thing. But I do think we can't just dismiss Blanco based on his season-long numbers. There's still something in there.
Yeah, still something in there. Maybe I'll give him a chance. Maybe I'll wait till that White Sox matchup, assuming nobody picks him up. Yeah, I don't know if I trust him against it. There's trust issues right now. Oh, yeah. Blanco and me. All right, now a guy that I don't really have trust issues with because I know exactly what I'm getting when I put Gavin Williams into my lineup. It could be a stellar performance, or he could get absolutely blown up. It's like there's no in between with this guy. Case in point, his last start against the mighty Yankees gave up only 2 earned runs in 6 1/3 innings and struck out 8. But the start before that against the Orioles gave up 5 earned runs and only struck out 4. Gavin Williams, I like him, but man, I just feel like this guy is very volatile. You never know. The upside is there, but so is the downside, and he gets the Twins and the Blue Jays this week. So what are we going to get here?
Let's see. Roll the dice. Yeah, don't you love when a guy against an offense that has just been pretty bad this year, the Orioles, when he gets lit up by a bad team and then looks great against one of the best teams.
Because then you're like, there is no way I can start this guy against the Yankees after what he just did to the Orioles, and then he gets exactly.
But I like Gavin Williams before the season. The talent is there, just consistency is not. So let's see if this last start against the Yankees is the start of something, figuring it out, or if it is just, which way the wind is blowing today. No, the trust is definitely not going to be there, nor should it be. But this guy does have the upside to be one of your best starters on any given day. The matchups aren't too bad. So I'll put him firmly in the middle here.
Middle is probably fair because you really don't know where to rank him on any given week. Now, this guy I feel pretty safe about. Like, safe is probably the exact word I would use to describe Griffin Canning. There's not going to be too many times where you're going to be like, oh, that was awesome. But there's also not going to be too many times you're like, wow, I really regret that. You're just going to kind of be like, okay, that was fine, right? That was fine. He's sitting at a 3.12 ERA. I will say this, though. He does have 26 strikeouts in 26 innings this year, which is pretty nice. Now, part of that was because he had an 8 strikeout game. He has games of only 4 or 3 strikeouts. So is this the opposite of Gavin Williams? Is this your floor play for the week? He also, I should mention, he gets a fantastic schedule at Washington, at St. Louis.
Yeah, he should be. Now, I don't know if I can go out on a limb to say he's safe because he is still Griffin Canning. And I've taken this long. It's taken me a month to even utter his name because loyal viewers may know that, not last year so much. I think I had already given up by last year. But he was a guy I had very high hopes for the last couple of seasons with the Angels. And I'm talking about back in like 2021, 2022. I was kind of in love with Griffin Canning, and then I quickly fell out of love last year. I was done, right? I was done, and now he's with the Mets, and now I'm ready to buy back in. No, I'm not ready, but he has been better. I know some people, feel like this is a great fit for him in terms of the organization, getting him to utilize his pitches more effectively, and he's back to throwing strikes. Just throwing strikes more frequently, which is good. That strikeout rate dipped quite a bit last year, but now it's back to a solid K per inning. But at the same time, like you said, I don't think we're going to see dominance, but he's in a good spot. He's getting better. And kind of like with May pitching for the Mets, great chance for a win. So you're looking for a guy who could get you a win, and I think pretty good chance for a quality start too. He's usually not someone who gets the quick hook these days. So it's going to take me a little longer before he completely enters the circle of trust again. And I know some people are higher on him than I am, but it's a good schedule. And let's see if he can continue to keep it going.
All right, we'll see. All right, now we're on to my favorite 2-star streamer of the week. I don't know why I like these guys so much, because it certainly did not work out with Quinn Priesters this week. But I don't care. I'm rolling the dice with JP Sears. I streamed this guy a lot last year. Again, I feel like this is one of those guys you never have to worry about him killing you. He's yet to give up more than 3 earned runs in any start this year, and that includes games, in Colorado against the Mets. So it's not like he's only faced, terrible offenses. He's gone over 6 innings 3 times. He's a little under a strikeout per inning, but it's not bad. It's not bad here. And he gets the Rangers, who can't score any runs, and your not so mighty Marlins. So I'm sure I'm way higher on JP Sears than you are this week, but how are you feeling about him?
Yeah, well, I don't think you can ever get too high on him, because this is your floor play, right? This is your pitcher who you think is probably not going to get lit up. And actually, just talking about wins, for the pitchers on the Mets and the Dodgers. How about JP Sears? Even though he's with the A's, but he already has 3 wins, like Canning. And he usually goes 5 or 6 innings, so great chance not only for a win for him and also a quality start. So there's your real path to fantasy relevance there with Sears. And of course, Rangers, the Marlins. Rangers scored the fewest runs in the majors still, as far as I know. And the Marlins are, not too bad offensively, but I'm still not too worried about that lineup. So yeah, I think Sears is probably for sure your safest out of all these streamers. And you know what? I might have him a little bit higher, actually. Looking back at the choices, the only difference is both, let's say, Gavin Williams, Griffin Canning, those guys do have a little bit higher of a ceiling than Sears. Right. But Sears is just kind of one of those guys you kind of almost set and forget. Like, as far as 2-star streamers, if there is such a thing as set and forget, I guess he's it.
All right, well, I may be setting and forgetting him this week, because I love those low-owned, safe streamers that nobody wants. All right, talk about the opposite of a safe streamer, Bowden Francis, who carried my fantasy team down the stretch last year. He's actually been okay this year. 3.58 ERA. He does have a couple quality starts. He's never given up more than 3 earned runs in a game, but he's kind of been living on the edge. He's got a 6.28 expected ERA and a 0.395 expected weighted on base average. So kind of living on the right side of luck right now. And he gets the Red Sox and the Guardians. So what is this? Is this your risky streamer of the week?
Yeah, and I was ready to say Bowden Francis is, you already know he's a guy who could, and yeah, kind of boring, but you put him in the middle. And I looked at his StatCast page, and I was like alarmed. There's a lot of blue there, and he is overachieving. And his numbers aren't great. Like, they're thoroughly mediocre, but he should be doing a lot worse. So it's a little scary this week, but at the same time, he's getting away with it. Like, he hasn't been bad. He does have 2 quality starts, and he was 1 out away from another. But also, again, the Red Sox, who we know now we're seeing do have a potent offense when it's all working, and the Guardians. So it's not a great week for him. So I almost want to just not put him on this list, honestly. But there are worse options out there.
There are worse options, and that leads us, great segue into our final option here. If you're looking for a guy who I think just really, I almost streamed him this week when he faced the Pirates. But when I looked at him, I'm like, this is a guy that all you're really hoping for is he's going to help your ratios and maybe get you a quality start because you aren't getting strikeouts. This guy has 13 strikeouts in 26 innings. So, yeah, he's yet to get more than 4 strikeouts, and he's got 2 games with only 1. I'm talking about, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, Jack Kochanowicz of the Angels. So you're probably not getting any wins. So that's out the window. You're not getting strikeouts. You could get help with ratios, although he did get blasted by the Astros and semi-blasted by the Rangers. But he does get the Mariners, which we know that's a good matchup. But then he does get that Red Hot Tigers. So is this like desperation territory here?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. There's no way to say it isn't. Yeah, that's exactly right. Look, I always like to give you some deep options, and deep meaning desperate. Could be horrible, but could get you by, and this is it. He's available in about 99.9% of fantasy leagues, and there's a reason for that. But at the same time, you know what? He's got a couple of quality starts and could get you another. He's only had 2 really good starts. Both of them came against bad teams, Pirates and the White Sox. Well, this week he gets the Mariners, which haven't been great on offense. Now he does then get the Tigers, which is not ideal, but look, we're getting deep here. I do feel like there's a little bit more here that he could show. Kokanowicz, I'm going to go with. Not going to strike out a lot of batters, but he can eat innings when he's on top of his game, whatever his game is. So just saying, there's a good chance for a quality start in his first one and a chance in his second one.
All right, there you go. So yeah, probably not an option in wins leagues, but if you're in quality start leagues, you could chase that quality start. All right, there you go. Those are the top 2 start streamers for whatever week we are about to go into. Of course, if you have questions about other streamers, other players, I'm sure you do. We already got lots of questions lined up. Drop them in the comments. We'll get to as many as we can tonight for about the next 45 minutes. And of course, if you don't want to wait in line, you could always use that super chat feature. It will jump you to the front of the line. Or if you're just feeling generous and want to say thanks for all the hard work, drop that super chat. Not a necessity, but you can. And I also need to still remind you once again, you see it scrolling down there below. If you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy yet, not sure what you're waiting for, they've got MLB Picks every single day of the year because there are baseball games every single day of the year, except I guess the All-Star break. But they probably have Picks for that too. So they probably do have Picks every day of the year. Just make sure you go to UnderdogFantasy.com, join using promo code ENDGAME, because not only is that going to get you a free pick, so a win right off the bat, but also up to $1,000 of bonus cash. All right. And it's only appropriate after the NFL draft that the first comment from Harry is a football comment. Best Ball Mania opens Monday. Yes, Harry, it does. We will be streaming some Best Ball Manias. Don't you worry. All right, Benny, what is up? I don't know if this is a humble brag or a question, but he's about to go 5-0. He traded Gunnar and Tanner Malley for Tatis and Soderstrom. He just agreed to trade Rooker, Senga, Peralta, and Ben Rice for Ohtani. Wow.
Whoa.
All right. His pitchers are Crochet, Hunter Brown, Max Mayer, who's been on fire, Clay Holmes, Clark Schmidt, Grant Holmes, Luis Gill on IR, Martian Austin Hayes bench, looking to work the waiver wire on some gems. He said he's got Andres Munoz as his closer. He's got Christian Campbell as a second baseman. All right, so I guess here's a question. Are there any pitchers you would target on the waivers for potential breakouts?
This is a good time to remind everyone, and first and foremost myself, talking, we do the 2-start streamers, and we keep using the word floor and safe, and there's a reason for that. There are some young pitchers who are making their debut or their second start, and that often blows up in your face. And it did last week. The guys who were probably the worst streaming options, the guy I thought might be good, David Festa, not good, and sent back down. And sometimes rookies are good. It does happen. Logan Henderson was great for 1 start, and then he gets sent down anyways. Look, it's just not in your best interest typically to go with these prospects until for sure they're sticking, like actually going to stay on the roster because they've earned it through spring and through during the season, and then B, not going to destroy you on their way down and drag you down with them. So That said, you're looking for a breakout. Again, it's best not to go with a totally unproven young pitcher, maybe a guy who is on the verge of taking that next step. So you're saying breakout. I assume you're not talking about, you know, the Merrill Kellys, the Griffin Cannings of the world. So who might realistically be available? Well, Reese Olson seems obvious, right? Because he's still pretty young. I wouldn't say he's quite broken out or anything like that. The Braves do have some young, interesting pitchers, but very, very sketchy. Look, you remember actually last week we talked about Mitchell Parker, right? You remember Mitchell Parker, who had been amazing, lights out so far. And look, even with Mitchell Parker, and look what happened today. Not so good. So there is no guarantee, right? So I tend to just say I'm not going to necessarily look for a breakout. I'm looking for a guy who can, just get the job done and not kill me. I still like Hayden Wesneski. I picked him back up in our league, and hopefully that keeps working. You could take a chance on an Andrew Abbott for the Reds. Very risky still, but he's somebody who still has a lot of upside, I would say. But there's not too many others that I would say are out there that I feel comfortable recommending more than just at a start at a time, if you know what I mean.
I do. Start of the time. That's how we do it here. That's how I do it here. All right, and then we did get a super chat.
One more name. Now think about it. Jack Leiter off of the IL, and he did show something his first two starts. Again, not a sure thing, but Jack Leiter is someone I think I could feel comfortable going with.
All right, there you go. All right, and then Raul, thank you so much for dropping the super chat. Says no question, just around for the fellas. Also fire the Monfarts. What is that?
Just around. All right. Well, thank you, Raul. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know what that is. I'm guessing there's some kind of hidden meaning that I don't know about. Thought maybe you would know. Thought it was maybe a baseball thing.
Monforts, maybe for the Rockies. I don't know if that's what it means, but anyways.
All right. Or are they? Oh, the Monfort brothers. Yes, I'm guessing that's what it's for. All right, that makes way more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Although maybe they are the Monfarts if you want them fired. All right, Roxana got a trade question. What's up, Roxana? She got offered Dylan Cease for Adley Rutschman. Is it an even trade?
That's an interesting trade. I did say Cease is a buy low. Now, he did not have a great start again last time, but I still feel like he should be okay. Adley has gone off to a pretty slow start as well. So this still feels pretty even, actually, I would say. I would take Cease right now. Now, again, you're saying if you're getting Cease and you're giving up Adley, there are actually a lot of catchers you can now go out and pick up. I mean, Augustin Ramirez is probably off your waiver wire. If he's not, go get him. Francisco Alvarez is back. Maybe he's still available. It's possible. So, yeah, I would take Cease.
All right. Take Cease, Roxana. Thank you. And then Jermel Foster, what's up? Welcome. I don't remember seeing your question ever before, so this is your first time. Welcome. Glad to have you. Wants to know, can someone explain to me why I'm still starting Matt McClain on Jordan Westberg? He just lost out picking up Polanco. That's tough because Polanco went off this week against me. He wants to add Augusto Ramirez, but not sure which one to drop. All right, can I say something real quick about McClain?
Yeah.
I would 100% be, if we were in a league together, Jermel, and you didn't want Matt McClain, I would happily take him off your hands. Now, okay, he's struggling right now. 157 average, 4 home runs, 3 steals. But he's really underachieving. Okay, his expected batting average is 222, but that's still better than 157. He's got a 354 expected weighted on base average, a 481 expected slugging. But I love the fact that he's 18.6 barrel percentage, 53.5 hard hit percentage. Like, this guy is going to start, unless it's just like he just gets completely unlucky. This guy is going to start mashing him. I would not get rid of McClain.
No. Look, if you ask me who I'd drop, I still don't want to drop either one. I know McClain, obviously the batting average is bad, but this is just a really, really, really bad week. he was at least over 200, but then 4 straight hitless games. That's dropped his average a lot. But he is still getting you a little bit in terms of homers, steals, RBIs, and runs. I mean, he is actually not hurting you anywhere except for batting average. It will get better. He will not be this bad all season long. I don't think you drop a guy like that, even if it's like a 10 team or even if it's a shallow league. And I'm still a believer in Jordan Westburg. And again, the same thing. It's just a batting average. It will come back. Now he's banged up. Where I saw he's got a hamstring issue. I mean, look, maybe he hits the IL and you don't have to drop him either. You can just put him on your IL spot. I mean, you're almost hoping for that at this point. But, man, I know you do want to add Augustin Ramirez. So, Milano, do you have somebody else you can drop? That's what I would say.
All right. Find somebody else to drop. All right. Back to back. What's up? Wants to know what to do with Devin Williams in a points league. He's only got 3 relief pitcher spots. He doesn't want to drop them. And then, like, you know what happens? You drop him, somebody picks him up, he gets his job back, and you wonder, oh, man, what have I done? But is he really done?
No, he can't be done. I mean, look, there are closers who lose it, right? And they just never get it back. I don't think Devin Williams is one. He's not that old. And sure, he is coming off a season where he's still great. It was a short season because of injury, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, he's in New York. It's an adjustment. I honestly, my only worry here is he's just one of these guys who doesn't like being in the spotlight of New York. There are some players, like, this happens. Some players cannot handle the pressure of being in the biggest market, the pressure of being on the best or one of the best teams. And sometimes guys just don't adapt to New York. Just bottom line, it happens once in a while. Look, this guy is a closer. He's used to pressure. I think he'll be fine. I'm not dropping him. I'm benching him. I'm not dropping him. This week, instead of panic, I'm doing a cut list. I'm just telling you, that's it. Give him the axe. Devin Williams is not on the cut list.
All right. Don't drop him yet. All right, Carl. What is up, Carl? All right, so we talked about some pitchers, but he's in a weekly league, so he has to pick 3 of these guys this week. Chris Sale in Colorado. That's never fun. Drew Rasmussen versus KC. Shane Baz versus KC. Or Clay Holmes? I'm going to assume Clay Holmes versus Arizona, not Grant Holmes. Which 3 are you going with? You got to pick now.
No pressure. Got to pick right here, right now. Well, look, if it's a weekly lineup, then yeah, you have to pick now. I mean, I know what your dilemma is. It's what do I do with Chris Sale, right? He hasn't been great. Now he's in Coors Field. I think it's okay to bench Chris Sale. It's okay. This is one turn where how dominant can he really be? Okay. We know how dominant he can be. He was dominant all last year, but he hasn't been dominant this year. You got the better matchups there. I like Rasmussen. I like Baz. I still like Holmes. He looked pretty good last start. So let's bench Sale and then take it from there.
All right. Go ahead and bench Sale. Good luck. And then he also wants to know, Lance McCullers appears to be coming back after 3 years of injury. Does this say anything?
I love that you put that up. Thank you, Chris, for putting that up. I love how he's like, oh man, this guy missed like a whole year. Lance McCullers, like coming off a decade IL stint. Like,
this is like Hunter Renfroe. I don't know if you saw, but Hunter Renfroe just signed with the Panthers. Like, this guy hasn't played in 2 seasons, and all of a sudden he's back. Now people are going to go add Hunter Renfroe.
Yeah, you mean the wide receiver, not the.
Yeah, the little slow white wide receiver who everybody fell in love with because he like had 5 good games his rookie year. That guy.
Yeah. Just again, I am aware. I was gonna say I didn't remember Lance McCullers was still active in the majors. I did, but I'm not gonna pay any attention whatsoever to Lance McCullers. Yeah, that's the thing. Is he even any good anymore? I mean, come on, no. You have better options.
All right, don't do it. All right, Raul does have a question now. 12-team dynasty head-to-head roto. Would you drop Ryan O'Hearn or Alec Burleson for Gavin Sheets, Tristan Casas, or Spencer Steer?
Yes.
Wow, Tristan, these guys are just out there in a 12-team dynasty league?
Yeah, that's surprise. Look, I know he struggled, but in a dynasty, like you said, dynasty league, someone dropped him. That's a little surprising. I would drop both O'Hearn and Burleson for both Sheets and Casas.
All right, go do it. Go get those guys. All right, this is an interesting question because I saw Taylor Ward. This is Jordy, by the way. What's up, Jordy? Good to see you again. I saw Taylor Ward was dropped in our league. In fact, I almost think it was for Jordan Beck. Maybe not, though. Would you drop Taylor Ward for Jordan Beck?
Well, yeah, Taylor Ward is tough because he had a really strong second half last year, strong overall numbers. And again, this is a lot like what we just talked about with Matt McClain, except without the steals. He was doing really well, actually, to start this season. And then last 3 games, 0 for 3, 0 for 4, 0 for 3, and 1 for 4. Before that, 0 for 3. His batting average has tanked just over the past week. But he still has 6 home runs. He still scores runs. So I don't think you need to drop Taylor Ward just because he happens to be cold right now. Now, Jordan Beck is really interesting because I'll try to make this short. Jordan Beck was one of my kind of deep sleepers this preseason. I drafted Jordan Beck in 4 or 5 different leagues. And then he, after a week and a half, got sent down because he did nothing, right? And remember Zach Veen? Everyone's, Zach Veen, it's about time. Zach Veen breakout. Zach Veen lasted 1 week, and then he got sent down. And then Jordan Beck comes back up, and guess what? Jordan Beck is mashing. So, you know what? To me, I'm like, this is what I was hoping for. So I am in on Jordan Beck, but I don't think you need to drop Taylor Ward. I mean, it is tempting. So I don't want you to regret this later on if Taylor Ward turns out having a 30 home run season, And is Jordan Beck really going to put up a season like Taylor Ward did last year? I'm going to try to be reasonable here and say, no, you shouldn't do this. But I understand the temptation.
Well, I'll say this about Jordan Beck because I looked at him. Somebody else added him. He's got 5 home runs on the season. Those came in back-to-back games. Literally 5 home runs in 2 games, and then he hasn't hit home run since. Now, okay, he could hit more, of course, but it's hard not to overreact. Here's the problem. You missed them. Those 5 home runs, they weren't on your fantasy team. So everybody who picked them up after those 5 home runs, they've gotten 1 for 7. And no home runs.
And that's the thing. When I say reasonable, I'm thinking you have to think long-term, big picture, right? Big picture, are you getting the guy who, you're swapping a cold hitter for a hot hitter this week, right? Do you want the better player this week, or do you want the guy who you think is going to be better the rest of the season? Is Jordan Beck going to be better than Taylor Ward the rest of the season? Yeah, it's possible. It's definitely possible. I'm not saying there's no chance, but it is not guaranteed by any means. And Taylor Ward has the track record we can look at. He can hit for power. He's going to score runs because he's near the top of the Angels lineup, which isn't, as horrible as it was last year. Jordan Beck is on one of the worst offenses in the majors, right? The Rockies, you think Coors Field and whatever. Yeah, Coors Field doesn't matter if you can't make contact with the ball. Okay, so the Rockies are still a bad offense. So, look, I like Jordan Beck. I love the tools. I like that he now has his opportunity back. But I don't know if I would do this.
All right. Vinny Lux Vlogs, what's up? Wants to know. Another trade question. He traded Jung-Hoo Lee, who I haven't heard about in weeks. What happened to this guy? Did he go ice cold? And Camilo Duvall for Dylan Cease and Luke Weaver, I assume. Assume Luke Weaver, unless there's another Weaver. Who won the trade?
I think you won the trade. You bought low on Cease. You pretty much sold high on Lee, which I also recommended doing a week ago. And then Duvall for Weaver, we'll see how that plays out. I mean, I really think Duvall was getting that job back if it isn't already technically his. But again, at the same time with Weaver, he may or may not get saves going forward. I'm not counting on it, but you know what? Neither one is in a surefire closer role as of right now. But seats for Lee, yeah, I'll take it. So I like this.
All right, well done. And then Raul, another one in a 10-team points league. Rank these guys for the week. Verlander at Colorado. Leiter versus Seattle. Liberator at Cincy. Who, that's never fun. Shane Smith versus Milwaukee. And Landon Roop at San Diego. And your boy Hayden Wesneski versus Detroit.
I'm going to start by making this easy. Let's just eliminate Justin Verlander. Got no interest there. And I know I just said Colorado is horrible, but I think Justin, yes, like, is he done? I don't know who is you're asking about. Yeah, Justin Verlander's done. I think he's toast. So I'll put him last. In order of preference, I will go Leiter 1, Wesneski 2. Probably Shane Smith 3, and then Roop 4, mainly because of the matchups. If you had swapped Milwaukee for San Diego, I would put Roop first, but I'll go Smith, then Roop, then Liberator, and then Verlander.
All right, there you go. Thank you. And then Owen, we briefly touched on Mitchell Parker, but is he still a hold? Is Mitchell Parker a hold?
He's a streamer. He is what he is, and this is why I did not recommend, going out and adding him on the waiver wire. Just why he wasn't the top of my streamers list. You looked at the numbers, you're like, how can you not? This is how you cannot. It's called regression. So, no, he's a streamer in good matchups.
All right, streamer in good matchups. All right, let's talk about a struggling star. Aspen, what's up? Wants to know, what are your thoughts on, I assume, Yordan Alvarez, after basically hitting 300 for 3 straight years, being a monster. He's kind of been the opposite of a monster this year. 213, 3 home runs, 19 strikeouts, only 19 hits. What are your thoughts here?
My thoughts is, as long as he's still healthy and we don't see an IL stint soon, which is always the worry for Yordan, he is going to finally, I think, make the buy low video this week. We had to wait, realistically, nobody's trading their first round pick, even if they're ice cold, after like the first couple of weeks. But now people will panic, right? Now we're like, what? This guy's only hitting 200. Okay, now is when you take advantage. So look, if you have Alvarez, Aspen, if you got him, which might be why you're asking, right? You're like, should I worry? No. Unless we hear that there's something physically wrong, which has happened with him. But if he's good, he's good. If you don't have him and you're curious and you want to make an offer, go make an offer.
Yeah, I think his StatCast looks pretty good. I mean, the expected batting average is only 250, but man, the barrel rate's good enough. The hard hit, everything looks pretty good. Probably a good buy low candidate for sure. All right.
Yep.
Raul asking about next round of call-ups. I will just say this, Raul. Every week, Pierre does a Beat the Breakout video on Tuesday. Check that out. I'll have the next round of call-ups right there. All right, how about Zaz wants to know your thoughts on, I know a guy you like, Vinny P, batting a cool 181, 23 strikeouts to 9 walks. How you feeling about Vinny P right now?
Yeah. Well, X-Man, I'll tell you, Vinny P is the guy who also, I feel like we're almost just still waiting, right? We're still in a holding pattern with him, waiting for the breakout, right? Like sometimes look, here it is, here it comes. And then he goes ice cold. Kind of like him and Tristan Casas, right? Both these guys, you feel like they're on the verge and then they're like forever on the verge and it never actually happens. So I'm trying to be patient here, but I will say this, this past week, a couple of different people have asked me questions, like trade questions about Vinny P. And someone was like, if it's okay if I, trade away Vinny for something, whatever. And I said, yeah, I'm fine trading him away. I'm okay with it. I don't think you have to keep him because even when, I say when, even if he turns it around, which I think he will, we're not going to see I mean, he's not the next Pete Alonso, right? He's not that kind of a hitter, and he should be hitting for average. But man, he's got a long way to go if he wants to get even sniff 300. So I don't know if we're seeing 300. So then what are we getting? You're getting a solid but not amazing fantasy player. You know what I mean? So is it just a big loss? No, I don't think it is. So I don't think I want to drop him if I don't have to. If you're gonna, go out and pick up Nick Kurtz, sure, I'll drop him.
All right, there you go. Thank you, X. All right, we got Joseph. He's got Schwellenbach, Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray, Casey Mize, Chris Bubich, Jackson Job. Well, that was frustrating this week. They pushed the start back to like Wednesday because of rain out. That was very frustrating. Bubba. I don't know who's Bubba. Bubba
Chandler? Must be Bubba Chandler.
Bubba Chandler, Hoffman, Esteves, Kate Smith, and Vest. Problem is he's got Leiter on the IL and is coming off the IL. So who of these are you dropping for Leiter?
I can pretty easily go with Vest here. He's got a couple saves, but so does Canley, and this is going to be a committee. This is just how the Tigers are now. There is no closer. There's a guy who will get you a few saves, and then the other guy who's going to get you a few, and another guy who might get you some, and then probably in a couple weeks here, when he's healthy, they might bring Foley back up. Like, who knows? So Vest is fine to get you a few saves here and there, but you don't need to keep him, and you already have 3 closers. So, yep, just drop Vest.
All right, drop Vest. Now we got Alberto saying, what up, Pierre and Chris? What's up, Alberto? Another Dylan Cease trade question. Torkelson for Cease. Which side do you want?
I mean, that's an interesting one. I mean, Torkelson looks like might be legit, but you're getting an ace. I'm taking Cease here. I will still say Cease is going to get better. I don't think you're getting around too much. Is that by the way, is that BoJack Horseman? Is that what that is?
It kind of looks like it.
I can't tell. I think it might be.
I think it is.
It
is. All right, another one from Aspen. Now he wants to know about Marcus Semien. Is this guy ever going to heat up?
Well, he might warm up.
StatCast is. If you like the color blue, you'll love his StatCast.
Yeah, and it's funny because like, was it last week? He had that one game, 4 RBIs. Are like, hey, maybe no. I think he might. Like, okay, let's say when a guy heats up, I'm trying to give the right metaphor here. So, like when a guy, Chris, you're old like me, and yes. Oldish. You watch basketball like me. Do you remember Vinny the Microwave Johnson for the Pistons?
Of course.
They call him. I'm making a really long-winded way to say this. Okay, so the Vinny was called the Microwave because he was the 6th man for the Pistons, right, with the bad boys, with Isaiah Thomas and Bill Embiid, because he came off the bench and he was instant offense. He was immediately got hot, right? He was called the Microwave. So if you can compare Marcus Semien on microwave levels, he's not insta hot and he's not even reheat. It's kind of like that defrost setting where eventually, like, maybe by like August and September, like, okay, he's slightly warmer, but I don't think we're going to see hot. I think Marcus Semien, I don't want to say done, like he's still going to be out there and he's still going to do some things, but I think you're going to be disappointed still by the end of the year. So that's why I said, if you can sell him, which I doubt you can at this point anymore, sure, do it. I hate to just straight up drop him, but at the same time, how long can you hold a guy who's going to continually forever go 1 for 4, 0 for 4, 1 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 3, So I know I could have just said no, but here we are. So probably not.
It was a long way to say no. All right, how about this one? James Coffey, what's up? Oh, man. Eugenio Suarez, a worthwhile pickup in a categories league. He was dropped. Imagine being, I hope that person dropped. I assume they dropped him before the 4 home run game. Imagine the feeling after you. It's a 6-team league, so they probably weren't starting him anyways.
Well,
Still hurts.
I'll make this very, very short and quick. Yes, pick him up, but 6 teams in baseball. James, we need some more competition here, some more competitive leagues. But even in a 16 league, sure, you can pick him up.
All right, pick him up. All right, F wants to know, speaking of Vinny P, would you trade Pivetta or Clay Holmes for Vinny P? The person with Vinny P desperately needs pitching.
Okay, but are you the Vinny P owner? If not,
no, I'm
then why do you
assuming the
care
other
what he
person.
needs?
I'm assuming the other person has Vinny P.
Well, then why do you care what he needs? So what do you need? Do you need Vinny P? No, I wouldn't do it.
All right, don't do it. Frank, what's up? Ryan McMahon has been terrible. Would you drop him for Eric Wagaman?
McMahon is droppable. Ironic because remember last year he was red hot in April, if I remember, and then just kind of mediocre the rest of the season. I guess he's doing a 180 this year. I mean, you can drop him. Eric Wagaman, I think we can do better. I don't know who else is out there. Frank, I know you're in those NFBC leagues, just slim pickings. I don't think I would drop him for Wagaman, but I could drop him for something else.
All right, drop him, but not for Wagaman. All right. I already know how I feel about this, the blind squirrel, but let me hear how you feel. 12-team league. Somebody dropped Bellinger, which not surprised. This guy's been a bum. Is he worth the number 1 ad?
I still believe in Bellinger. I'm going to take a chance on him. Yeah, I mean, the number 1 waiver, it rolls. You know, the prospect parade is for early part of the season is going to be over if it's not already over. So if you didn't use it on a guy like Kurtz or Ramirez or one of them, yeah, I would use it on Bellinger.
All right. Use it on Bellinger, I guess. If you like those, like seeing those 0 for 4s with 3 strikeouts. Comes up with the bases loaded, just strikes out or pops out to the second base. It's just like so frustrating. It's like what was the game? I think it was the game before I traded him away. Like we already had the trade between Anthony and I processed, and we're waiting for it to process. And I had to start him because I had nobody else. And it was like Ben Rice leads off the game with a home run. Aaron Judge, home run. It's like, okay, this pitcher does not have it today. Like he just gave up back-to-back homers. Then it was like a 4-pitch strikeout to Bellinger. I'm like, I cannot wait for this guy. I cannot wait to get this guy off my team.
Yeah, it's kind of like that today. They had a doubleheader. I was looking in one game, they scored 5 runs, right? It wasn't huge, but yeah, Bellinger 0 for 4 with only 1 strikeout. And then the other game, they scored 11 runs. And Bellinger did get a hit. He did score twice, and he did get an RBI. So, look, there you go. He did something.
There you go. 1 for 8 today. 1 for 9.
It's something. His average is 200 now. Got over the hump.
There you go. All right. Taylor Green. Just joined the live. Thank you. Welcome. All right. Here we go. Actually, that's a good question. What are your thoughts on Noelvi Marte? It seems like maybe he's, hitting the ball well again. His StatCast numbers, I mean, albeit he doesn't have a lot, are actually looking pretty decent. He's had some nice games. What are your thoughts? And then, do we have a Discord? Yes, we do have a Discord. I'll put the Discord link down there. But what are your thoughts on Marte?
Yeah, and actually, while you're doing that, so we do have a Discord. It's mainly for the football, our flagship channel. But we do have a fantasy baseball channel in there. And you can ask your questions. A lot of these guys are in there and they'll ask their questions. You don't have to wait for the live. Guys like Benny will tell us all his trade updates in there. So, yeah, go ahead and join it. And Joseph, again, fair question. Both these guys. Look, let's throw Gavin Lux in the mix too. All these Reds, are they legit? I talked about Austin Hayes for weeks. Austin Hayes, I think, is legit. Noelvi Marte is trickier because of last year. But let's remember, this guy, way back when he was a prospect for the Mariners, was one of the top infield prospects in all of baseball. So I don't think we can even look at it and question whether it's legit based on talent. The talent has always been there. It's just last year he made some sort of a poor choice. I'm sure it was an accident. It's always an accident, right? I mean, nobody would
sure.
ever knowingly.
I'm sure his
PEDs.
who was it? Who was it? That tennis player said like his massage therapist or like cut his finger and like used PEDs to yeah.
Yeah. There was the Neosporin here, and then the big like skull and crossbones PED they do not use, and he took the wrong one and he put it on the cut.
Yeah. That's it. Failed the test.
It's got to be legit. I mean,
Gotta
he's
be.
not just here and there. He's got power, he's got speed, and he's in a great ballpark. Yeah, I'm buying in.
All right, there you go. And then Eddie just dropping in to say hi to everybody. And he did say hi to Andrea. Didn't see her. All right. TD Meeks wants to know, are we selling high on guys like McGill and Andrew Heaney?
Yep. Well, if you can sell for those guys, yeah, because those guys are streamers. These are 2-start streamers, and that's what they are. And I'll tell you what, I'm slightly annoyed, but not too much. Is like McGill today was really good again. And I eyed him. I was between him and somebody else. And then looking like he doesn't go 6 innings, right? We're in a quality starts league. If you're in a wins league, sure, he definitely get you wins. He's for the Mets. But he just doesn't go 6 innings until today when he went 6 innings. So, okay, fine. I missed out. But that's the thing is it's not a sure thing. And Haney, I mean, we've seen Andrew Haney long enough, a decade plus now. He pitches for the Pirates. So if you're in a wins league, then you got to prefer McGill. You can keep McGill, but you can sell him for something. Yeah, I'll sell both these guys.
All right, sell both those guys. And then Jack asking, did you miss 2-star streamers? Yes, we did it earlier, but Jack, after we're done, you can go back and watch the beginning and see that part there. All right, Nick, what's up? Has someone sent him a trade? He would trade away Will Warren and receive Lucas Giolito. Would you do it?
Oh, I need all right, this is not quite Lance McCullers, but I mean, come on. I need to see Lucas Giolito pitch for like a month, solid month, and not get hurt and look really good. Yeah, no. I'm not going to trade for. I'm not even going to go out and pick up Lucas Giolito. I need to see something first. Is this even the same guy from a couple years ago? I don't think so.
All right, and then F, what's up? Wants to know, Luke Keishol, is he worth a hold if you don't have any IL spots?
So sad. So sad. Legit, I'm like choked up right now thinking of Luke Keishol. This was like my favorite pickup, one of my favorite prospects, my favorite under the radar possible breakouts. And of course, being baseball, what happens? He gets hit by a pitch. He's out for weeks now. It's just when he was getting going. I mean, he'd barely been up. So I'll tell you what I'm doing. I picked him up in a couple leagues. If I can afford to hold him without, my roster suffering, if you're having to keep your corner infield, your middle infield, wherever he qualifies in whatever roster you're in, whatever platform, because it's different in everyone. If I can afford to do it, I will, but I don't think he's a must hold. So like in my NFBC league, like Frank, I'm going to keep him because I know if I don't, and I wait a few weeks and he's coming back, I might not get him back. And I'm definitely not going to get him back for what I got him for in the first place. And he only qualifies weirdly in NFBC at utility, which I don't understand. But anyways, if you can afford to do it, I would. But if not, it's okay.
All right. Thank you for that, F. All right. Joseph wants to know, would you recommend selling high? Speaking of Eugenio Suarez. Yeah, he's miserable to own between his 3-day home run strokes. Would you sell high here?
Always sell high. If you're actually selling high, what can you get for him? If you can get Dylan Cease, absolutely do it. If you can get a starting pitcher who can help you out, absolutely do it. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to when you say sell high, I mean, how much higher can you get, right? Guy hits 4 home runs. He has, 10 already, I think, on the season. This is the time. I think this is the time to entertain selling high in him no matter what.
Yeah, 10 home runs on the season. Of course, it helps when you get four in one game. All right, and then Nick also saying he traded away Rosarena for Slappy Luis Arias. Who won the trade?
Well, I'm gonna prefer it's close here. I'm gonna prefer Arise because I just feel better about him as a hitter at this point. He won't get you the steals or the home runs, and Rosarena won't get you the average. It's basically. I don't even know if there's a win or a lose for this trade. It's like, what do you need, right? These guys are like almost opposite ends of the spectrum, right? The way they play. So I guess it depends what category do you need or want,
All right. Thank you, Nick. And then BD, another trade question. Traded Max Fried and Junior, I assume, Caminero for Austin Riley. What do you think?
Yeah, he did say typo. It's Caminero, but that's just funny. The autocorrect. Fried and Caminero for Riley. I would probably prefer the Fried side, but I don't think it's a bad deal. Austin Riley's looking a little bit more like himself this year. But, man, I'm big on Caminero, you know what I mean? So I don't think that it's a huge upgrade, Riley over Caminero, by the time the season's over, at least. I don't think it will be. And Fried has been solid. I'll tell you what, Fried has been a little bit better than I thought. He has actually taken pretty well to being a Yankee. And I had some doubts about him. Didn't think he would bust. I think he was fairly valued, but he's looked solid. So I don't love it, but I wouldn't say I hate it.
All right. Thank you, BD. And then back to Frank. Should he consider bidding on John Birdie? He's getting annoyed with the lack of players available in NFBC.
Yeah, but I mean, what are you really going to be happy you have John Birdie on your team? I do think it's just a matter of time. Give it a couple of weeks. I think Matt Shaw is back. They'll give him a chance to play. So I know it's tough. Let me look real quick because I need to anyways. Before we got about an hour left until the deadline for Fab on NFBC leagues. So I gotta make sure I got mine set. Deep, like, of course your league is different, right? Just because they're available in my league doesn't mean they're available in yours, and vice versa. But you're just looking for a hitter to plug in, like a utility guy. Yeah, sure. There's not a lot. Brooks Lee is somebody I was semi-interested in. Now that Keyshal's out, Brooks Lee is going to be playing more regularly. I would prefer him to Birdie.
All right, there you go. Thank you. And then back to Taylor Green wants to know, who should he pick up? Ranger Suarez, Augustin Ramirez, Noelvi Marte, or just keep Nick Kurtz?
I mean, you need to keep Kurtz, but you also should be picking up Ramirez and maybe Marte. Is this just you can only have one? Is that the question? If you can only have one of these guys, man, I mean, I do think I would just keep Kurtz for right now. But, man, hopefully you can drop somebody. Get Ramirez if he's out there.
All right. Hopefully you can get somebody else. All right. Saying God, what's up? He's got a trade on the table. Roki Sasaki, Shane Smith, Max Meyer for Framber Valdez and Bubba Chandler. Which side do you like?
And this is, I'm assuming, redraft. You got a lot of young players there. But, again, I'm assuming this is like 12-team, just redraft league. So Meyer was not great today, but that's called regression. It happens. I think I still like Meyer. Framber, hey, it's funny. You remember the other day someone's like, hey, everyone's dropping Framber Valdez. Those people got exactly what they deserved watching Framber the other day. So there you go. Framber is not ace, but like, let's say a high-end number 2 pitcher. All right, let's put him like where he belongs. Roki is not there yet. By season's end, maybe he gets there. Meyer is, let's say like a number 3 guy, right? A volatile, somewhat volatile, but exciting mid-rotation arm. Shane Smith, more like an end-of-rotation arm. Bubba Chandler, we don't know. So I don't know. I don't know if the Roki side is enough. Honestly, I think I would just rather have Framber and Bubba, because Bubba could wind up being better than all of those first 3. It's possible. So I think I'd prefer the Framber Bubba side.
All right, there you go. Thank you, saying God. All right, back to Carl again. Back to that weekly league, 16-man weekly league. He's got to decide: Christopher Morel facing KC, and then in New York against the Yankees, or Michael Garcia in that Tampa Bay Little League field and in Baltimore.
Morel has been hitting pretty well recently. Home is good for him. Yankees is good for him. I'll give the edge to Morel.
All right, go with Morel. All right, Dirt Boy, what's up? Someone in his road league dropped Jacob deGrom. Who do I drop to pick him up? Christopher Sanchez, Chris Sale, Aaron Nola, Roki Sasaki, Luke Weaver, Ryan Presley, Kelly Jansen, Camilo Duvall, Ardolis Chapman, or Jay Adam, who I don't even know who that is.
Is this you said it's a roto league? Is it saves and holds or just saves? If it's just saves, then you can drop 1 or 2 of those relievers. If it's not a holds league, you just drop Adam. If it saves and holds, I mean, I still think you drop one of those closers. Probably, well, you know what? Probably still Adam.
All right, drop Adam. Uwe 2K, what's up? Drop Arias. Is that Gabriel? Gabriel Arias for Suarez in a points league.
Yeah, do that.
All right, that was the easy one. Welcome, Uwe 2K. All right, Carl says last question, but not really, because we'll see that in a second. Is Willy Adames droppable for Spencer Steer? He's got Story and Bryson Scott.
Oh man, Willy Adames. Look, I take no pleasure in victory laps for busts called, but I did call Willy Adames a bust, and he's busting, and I don't know it's going to get much better. I think he's droppable. I drop him for Spencer Steer. Well, you do have a Story. Yeah, I mean, I think you can do that. I'm guessing somebody still might take Willy Adames, see it as a buy low opportunity. So I think I would at least shop him first. And you might have to package him with something else, a 2-for-1 or 2-for-2. Try trading him first and see if that works.
All right. And then, as I said, he lied. One more: Cade Smith or Camilo Duvall?
Both. Oh, well, I don't know why I'm telling you. You're here all the time. You probably saw the waiver wire video. Both good. Cade Smith first.
All right. Cade Smith first. Mr. Waking Up. Is Gonsolin worth a stash in a points league?
No, this guy feels like there's always something, right? He'll be good for a couple of starts, and then he'll get blown up, and then he gets hurt. I don't have full confidence in him sticking, even though the Dodgers basically can't keep anybody healthy in the rotation. I think I saw Glass now is hurt again. Shocked face. I mean, you could if you got the space, but I don't expect a whole lot.
All right. And then Frank saying, forced to dig deep. What are your thoughts on Angel Martinez?
Angel Martinez, one of those Cleveland players who will, play 3 or 4 times a week and do a little something, but not enough to really get you excited. So, I mean, I know you're in a deep league, so I guess in that format. But if you're in that deep of a format, which you are, I would prefer a guy like Gabriel Arias who at least can qualify multiple positions, right? If you need, like, you got a hole at second base, you can stick him there. You know what I mean? You got a hole at third base, you might be able to stick him there. Although I actually don't remember in NFBC if he qualifies at third and second. But yeah, I know it's deep, but Angel Martinez, again, Cleveland's just one of those teams, right? They love to mix and match. And so that just makes it frustrating.
All right, and then Jack Little, what's up? Wants to know, would you recommend moving on from Santander, who actually did hit a home run today? And it was really tilting. Is I checked my lineup this morning, and they showed the little X next to him still for the doubleheader, but Christopher Morel was out, and he was really my only bench player. But I'm like, well, I guess he's not playing either, so I won't put him in. And then of course he hit a home run. That's really all he did, though. I think he went like 1 for 10 with a home run. Anyways, are you moving on from him, or is a home run enough for you to give him a little bit longer of a leash?
There's you already know. there's sell high and then there's sell while you can. I would just sell and move on. That same video this preseason where I did my draft busts, the same one where I talk about Willie Adames, talk about Anthony Santander. Don't have high expectations for him this year, so I would move on.
All right, and then we got another super chat from Durf Boy. Would you drop Austin Hayes for Anthony if he gets the call?
Oh, well, yeah. If Anthony gets the call, you drop whoever you need to drop. I mean, yes, obviously you do that. Not everybody gets the luxury of being able to stash a prospect. By this point, it really does make sense for all leagues to have a spot, an NA or a minor spot, but not all of them do. So if you need to make room, just do it. Yeah. Like the thing is, you're saying if he gets the call. If, let's say, tomorrow they announce it, Roman Anthony's, getting called up, all of a sudden you are fighting it out with everybody else in your league to add him. You might want to add him now. I'm not saying I want you to drop Hayes now, but you do what you have to do. I would just stash him for whoever you can.
All right. And then Luis Reyes, first time here. Welcome. He was offered Doyle and Osuna for Strider, who's on the IL. So who do you prefer? Which side do you prefer here?
Well, I did call Strider a buy low. That's smart timing to try to get him while he's out because he's going to come back, and I think he should be fine because it was just kind of a fluky thing. But I think this is enough. If you're getting Doyle and Ozuna, Doyle's numbers aren't great so far this year, but he also did miss time. I think he was on the bereavement list for a while. And Ozuna is still a stud. So you know what? I think I would take those two.
All right, take the two. And then Eddie wants to know if we discussed Mitchell Parker. Yes, we did. I think we said not a must hold, but like good streamer.
Yeah, I don't need to hold him.
And then Doyle saying best 2-star pitchers to pick up. Yes, we talked about that in the beginning, Doyle. So if you want to, when we're done here, go back, watch the beginning. You can hear all about them. All right, Tribal 979. What's up? Is Andy Pajas going to be one of the waiver wire ads this week, or do you attribute his hitting to the Pirates pitching?
Although look, the latter.
Paul Skeens wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's the second thing. I'm not picking him up. He's been fine, but we need more than fine. And look, I said it might make sense. I know they're not doing this yet, but someone earlier asked about Hae-Sung Kim. It won't be long before he gets called up. And honestly, if you look at the way the roster is, Pies might be the odd man out because they can always move Edmund to center field and Kim at second. Yeah, so I'm not picking him up.
All right. And then what about, would you drop Cam Smith for Andy Paz? Ross wants to know.
No, I don't think so.
All right. And then Jack, did Ryan Walker lose the closer role to Duvall?
Unofficially, yeah, I think so. I don't recall. I mean, maybe they did, but I haven't heard. I don't think they've come out and said, like, hey, Duvall's the closer. And we might see both these guys in the mix, but right now, who would you prefer if you're a Giants fan to see in the ninth inning? Right now, it's Duvall, and I don't know that we can assume Walker's going to get back to that. I'm not saying he won't get another save the rest of the year, but I'm thinking it's Duvall for the most part.
All right, and then Taylor, remember going back to his question, this is who he's got. He's got Cal Raleigh, who's a monster. He's a man among boys. Tyler Soderstrom, Jonathan Aranda, Marte, Jacob Wilson, James Wood, Churio, Corbin Carroll, Doyle, Suarez.
You got some good players. Yeah, I see what your earlier comment says. I have too many good players. I agree. I agree.
Would you drop Aranda for Augustin Ramirez?
Ooh, I like. Uh, I mean, I like Aranda. He's been really good, and I think I like Ramirez better, though. I think you can do this. Yeah.
All right. And then, all right, Thomas, would you do Clay Holmes and Matthew Liberatore, however you pronounce it, for Teoscar Hernandez in an NL only league?
Easily. I like Clay Holmes, but give me Teoscar.
I think I drafted Teoscar in we only did like 4 or 5 best ball drafts, but I think I drafted him like in almost every time once I found out he was on the Dodgers. Sad I didn't get him in our league. All right. Romel wants to know, would you drop Adolis Garcia for Wilyer Abreu or StatCast King Lars Nootbaar?
No, I like Adelaide still. He's done something. I'm not going to drop him for those players now.
All right. Then Brandon wants to know how you feel about Jack Leader. Didn't have a great game today coming off IL.
Yeah, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I still think he's worth, in leagues where you have the room. I'll just say it this way. I'm not saying you have to go out and get him, but I think he's going to be worth adding pretty soon. So we'll see how the next start goes.
All right. Thanks for the question. And then 480 Kerr, Brandon Nimmo, Taylor Ward, or George Springer. I assume these guys are all on waivers. You got to pick one up in a 12-teamer.
So we're only picking one? Which crusty veteran do we like here? I think right now I'll go Springer because at least he can steal you some bases.
Ugh, he's dead to me. All right, back to Romel's question. Would you drop Santander or Vinny P for Nootbaar or Wilyer?
No, I don't think so. Try to trade Santander if you can, but I don't want to drop him just yet.
All right, and then Eddie Buzz, always going deep here, wants to know, do you know who Tim Elko is? And then he's saying, if memory serves me correctly, Andrew Vaughn has played right field in seasons past. Random. I'm sure there's some reason for that.
Well, Elko's in the White Sox organization, I think, which, I mean, that kind of answers your question. Look, it's a prospect for the White Sox, even if he gets called up. Let's not get too excited here. You know what? I don't think I would pick him up even if he gets the call. So if you're deep enough league, if you're in a dynasty, right, there's always worth, it's always worth taking a shot on a guy, but not someone who's high on my radar. Let's put it that way.
All right. Looks like we are all caught up there. We're over the hour mark now. Again, for those of you who came on late and are like, hey, I want to know who the 2-start streamers are. Well, we're about to end the live. And once we do, you can go back and watch the beginning of the video where we talk about the 2-start streamers. Hopefully we got all your questions covered. Thank you for everybody drop that super chat. We got one more from Jack. Wants to know, would you drop Jose Alvarado, Ryan Walker, Johan Duran, or Ryan Finnegan? He wants to pick up Duvall. Would you drop any of those guys for Duvall?
If you're going to pick up Duvall, I mean, the logical thing to do is to drop Walker, right? You don't want to hedge your bet. You take your chance. Call your shot. I would do Walker.
All right, do Walker. All right, everybody. Thank you so much tonight. As always, don't forget, we got Panic, or I guess Cutlass, coming out tomorrow. Beat the Breakout, Buy Low, Waiver Wire, everything. And we'll be back here on Wednesday, midweek, to get you caught up, help answer your questions. Hopefully everybody had a good week. Hopefully everybody has a good start to their week next week. And of course, if this is your first time and we helped you out at all, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, click that like button. And we'll be back here on Wednesday. Have a great night, everybody, and enjoy the rest
Not
of
Wednesday.
your Sunday.
Sorry, just to make sure. On location this week, we'll have videos out, but I don't think I'll be able to stream Wednesday. So we'll make next Sunday the next live stream.
All right. So no Wednesday this week, but we'll see you next Sunday.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good one.